Welcome to another episode of the County Roads Ride Along. If you like what you're seeing, don't forget to subscribe, give us a thumbs up, and click that bell over there so you know when we put new videos up all the time. Today we're in the 2017 Dodge Challenger Scat Pack with my buddy Jacob Miller.
That's my name, yeah.
That's his name. The co-writer of My Mississippi, and a good friend of mine, bass player in the band, the oldest member of the band, right?
Youngest member by like 10 years.
Well, youngest person in the band, but you have the most seniority in the band.
Like oldest soul. Like
Oldest
I feel like an old person. I do, kind of.
So Jacob has been playing music with me since you were 17?
Yeah.
17 years old. And he's got an awesome story, and we're going to learn a little bit more about him, a lot more about you, hopefully, and we're going to drive some awesome county roads in this badass car. So let's go. Now we are on some beautiful country roads in Kentucky. Once again, the great state where I come from. But Jacob, you don't come from there. You got an interesting story, man. You come from all the way across the United States. You grew up in LA, right?
I come from a metropolis.
A metropolis.
There's not a lot of green.
Not a lot of green. It's a, what do they call them? Concrete jungles?
Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
Well, tell us about growing up, how you fell in love with music, and what ended up inspiring you to move to Nashville, be a songwriter, be a musician. I want the whole scoop.
Well, I fell in love with music as my dad. All I really remember growing up is Motown and me being in the backseat, just Diana Ross. Then on the flip side of that, a lot of country at the same time, a lot of Merle, George Strait. It was just a constant theme. And it's an interesting contrast to the backdrop of Los Angeles. None of my friends were. Growing up, they weren't listening to Merle,
What was the big, the most popular groups that were being played when you were growing up?
I remember LMFAO, like that kind
All
of pop.
Yeah.
Which I'm definitely into. I love that kind of music for sure. But it's kind of unexplainable why, or my love for country. It just comes from a deep place that formed when I was a kid.
So it's interesting. I'm a big Motown fan too. I grew up listening to, everyone who's been watching this knows that I was a huge Steve Earle and John Fogerty fan growing up. But I remember being a little kid and my dad turning this movie on called The Fighting Temptations. And I was like, man, that's awesome. I go to church every Sunday, as a kid, growing up in church, singing hymnals and harmonies were like, I had to learn how to do that when I was really young. And just hearing those harmonies and the swagger of those Motown acts, I got introduced to it through the Temptations, but then, just grew to love that genre of music as well. Hey, every time we hit the rumble strips, that's 10 points.
Take a shot.
I need you to take a shot. Probably shouldn't do that right now, but I'm game when we get back to the house.
My dad, during his teenage years, him and his mom would go to every Diana show in Vegas.
Oh, wow.
He got to know her pretty well, and she'd bring him up on stage every now and then. So she's always been just a constant thing in my life. And then just everything Motown. It's just Temptations, and Dionne Warwick is a big one too.
So you fall in love with music through Motown music, Diana Ross, all these other great artists, and seeing these documentaries and stuff. How old were you? When did you start picking up instruments and thinking, hey, maybe I want to get a little deeper into this?
The causal event was a Green Day concert when I was 6. After that, I just wanted to be like Billy Joe. He was just...
Big jump there, Motown to Green Day.
Yeah,
all right.
yeah. It's always been eclectic. My family has never really put music into categories.
If it makes you feel something, it's worth listening to.
Yeah.
No matter what the genre stamp is on it. So were there multiple instruments in your house when you were growing up?
Bro, I made instruments out of things. Like coat hangers and pipes.
Okay.
I was a weird kid, man.
You seem to me, I know you pretty well at this point, but you seem to me like the kind of guy that spent a lot of time on the edge of the mattress with your guitar, you know, just getting lost in that and trying to find the path through the fretboard and what sounds come from where.
That's a good way to put it. It was just getting lost. I mean, because when I first started, I didn't know theory. I didn't know where the relationships between chords and everything. It was just I was just out in the woods.
And I feel like that's why when I grew up, me and you grew up in a different time, right? So it was like, was YouTube and all that stuff very prevalent when you were a teenager learning this stuff?
I had a few years just before that became really present everywhere. There was a few years where I was just a kid, and I was just playing in the dirt, you know, and playing my guitar and stuff, which I'm really grateful for.
Like my Mississippi.
Here at the Dairy Bar in Whitley City, Kentucky. This is a pretty retro place. It's the kind of place that was in a lot of old movies that I liked to see when I was a kid. Hot rod movies. Movies like American Graffiti and Dazed and Confused, two of my favorites. I've got to talk about how I discovered Jacob Miller, because it's one of my favorite stories in the world. So I'm about to go to Colorado and play some shows in Colorado in this duo that I was in a few years before all this started. We're opening up for Aaron Watson. Problem is, we don't have a bass player. So I'm talking to this guy I know, and he says, I had this kid play bass on these demos for me a couple weeks ago, and he's great. I guarantee you he can do the job. I said, well, send him my number, have him call me. He sends me your number instead. I call you, and you made me feel better about myself than anyone I've ever talked to for the first time.
I was just pumped to get a call about a job.
I called and said, hey man, I heard you could play bass. I need a bass player to go out to Colorado and open up for Aaron Watson with me. And you made me feel like I was Aerosmith, man. I just seen you guys play at the Wild Horse Saloon the other day. It was awesome. And you said this one thing that you always say to this day anytime I ask you to do something. You said, F yeah, LV, I'll be there. And
I was there.
you was there. Since
Thank
then,
you.
I've watched you grow as a bass player. And although I love how I've seen you grow as a bass player, what I love more than anything is I've seen you grow as a writer.
That means a lot.
Exponentially. And one night in particular, you came to my house when I was trying to go to bed, and you said, I've got this idea called Mississippi. And I don't know what I was doing, but I remember being like, well, I'm from Kentucky. What the hell am I gonna write about Mississippi? But you were like, it's a song about that girl that got away and everything she has in common with the Mississippi River. And I thought, dang, man, I don't know how we pull that off, but if we can, it would probably be pretty cool. So you remember what we did next?
Well, we got sushi burritos before that.
Oh,
and then we went to your lounge. We sat
sushi
down.
burritos are
Sushi.
bomb.
Yeah, it was nice, man.
So we went to the lounge at the Element, where I ended up living because you lived there first, and I came to see you, and right on Music Row. I was in the middle of writing my record.
Yeah.
Loved that place. They even let us stay late, and if I remember correctly, that night they had a 12 o'clock cutoff then, and we went down there. It was like, we're really onto this song. Can we please stay up there? And I can't remember who the person at the front desk was.
Thank you,
that night.
John.
Yeah, John. It was John. Yeah. He, John of all people, let us break the rules. Come on, John. That was awesome, man. But no, My Mississippi. Can you tell me, like, what that writing experience was like for you?
Well, it was really intimidating, I think, because I hadn't had a lot of experience writing with co-writers up to that point. But that went away instantly when we got on that riff idea. Because I remember we talked about the idea for the song, and then I was playing something, and then you heard something in what I was playing, and then we tried to get that into a riff, and then that built momentum into something else.
Yeah, man, and it just goes to show you too, like how much your style of playing, and like that riff you were playing was really inspiring. And songs get created in different kinds of ways, right? Sometimes it's through an idea, sometimes it's through a guitar that inspires whatever. That night, that guitar riff and that idea put together really inspired something. But that song's a perfect example of like one of those songs that just has a freaking map laid out for it. Because I remember thinking, what if this dude's just out on the bank of the Mississippi River fishing, and he's talking to the river about this girl that got away, and he starts realizing, you know, how much she has in common with the river, like you had said. And I remember that first line, where, hey there, Mississippi, looks like the water's getting rough. I picked a hell of a day for fishing, the way the wind keeps picking up, and we were on, dude.
Bars, man. It really got
Bars.
going.
It was bars, man.
It really got going when one of us came up with tearing right through the country.
Yeah, that line, just, I don't know, the attitude of that line, like just tearing right through the country. She gone, not coming back. And you always know when you've written a song and you go sit in the car and listen to it 25 times. You were twice as many as me. Anyways, I wasn't paying attention to you half the time, but that's normal. But no, man, that's a really special song. One of my favorites I've ever been a part of. I appreciate you bringing it to me. And now it's on my first project. The world's gonna get to hear it. And I hope they enjoy it.
I mean, I remember feeling that like the first time I heard some great record when I was a kid, but it eluded me until then. Like I didn't feel that again until I walked in that room and I heard a song that I was a part of come to life.
I came up with the slogan when I came to Nashville, and it was persistence always gets dedication to its goals, right? And a friend of mine gave me this little plaque it's about persistence, and basically it's like nothing in the world, you know, I'm paraphrasing here, but nothing, talent, work ethic, nothing has ever got anyone as far as persistence would. And I've seen you be persistent in your playing, in your writing, and you know, you're one of the greats that's out there. No, you're one of the greats that's out there. You're one of the greats that's out there working your ass off. You're writing multiple times a day when you can. You're always striving for good ideas, always playing instruments and trying to come up with musical parts. And I just want people to know you and all the other people who have been a big part of this project, and that's what all this is about. Plus, I get to drive other people's really cool cars, so I'm down with that. If you got a car you want me to drive and do one of these in, I'm down for it. Just holler. But, man, welcome to Kentucky, the beautiful state where I was born and raised. We're in East Kentucky right now. I'm a Western Kentucky boy. Not much difference. We're rednecks. These people's hillbillies, but they've let me become an honorary hillbilly, so I'm gonna stay around. The Dairy Bar, Whitley City, has treated us well today. Cheers to that. Appreciate you coming here with me to have some lunch and talk about songs and your journey to Nashville. What do you say we just hop back in this car and raise a little hell and see what else there is to cover?
Vámonos.
Vámonos.